Hello, and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers at ebayscavengers.com. This is episode 84, and Jay and I are talking about what's going on in our store this week. So, it's been kind of a slow week.
It is, let's be serious about this. It's been really slow.
Okay, it's been really slow.
Yeah, I mean,
sluggish.
It seems like after it's Christmas, a lot of us were having really good a couple weeks, and then suddenly it went to it felt like a screeching halt.
Right.
Compared to those 2 or 3 months around the holidays where people are it's buying. It got to where, we weren't selling as much.
Well, there was a couple days where we literally sold two things. And for us, I mean, we have over 3,000 items in our store. It's very scary.
Right.
For me, it makes me, we know there are always slow times, but for me, I'm like, I have so much stuff in my store. How can I possibly only sell one thing today?
So that's the fear. But let's actually talk about the numbers. If you go to the blog at ebayscavengers.com, we always list our numbers for the week. And if you look, it's this week versus last week, we sold half as much in items. But then if you look at the actual number of how much we made, we actually didn't do bad, and we actually hit the numbers we're always hoping for. We always hope between $200 or $300 a day, and we averaged about $250 a day because, number one, we would have those couple of slow days where not a lot sold, but then we had other days where we sold a bunch of stuff.
Or we had slow days where we'd sell two very high dollar items. So it didn't feel like a lot, but they were, expensive items.
Right. So I think those are two really important things to point out, is that we always say you got to think about your average over the month. So one day you might not sell a lot, but then another day you might sell a whole lot. And then over the month, it averages it out, and we make the kind of money we need to be independent. And like Ryan said, we've been really investing in listing bigger ticket items where we're willing to pay $10, $15 for something we think will sell for over $100. And I think we've gotten up to, our store now, I'd say maybe 15% of our store is over $100.
Yeah, actually, we should look at that number. I mean, we literally could just do that number and see what the percentage is.
Right. And the reason why that's as good is during this time, you'll sell something for over $100. And it's amazing, so it's like selling 5 things for $20.
Right, so it's like you sell one item, you sell two or three items, and you've hit your, average price for the day, which is great,
Right. So that's just ways to look at your store. That's how we look at our store. Big inventory, starting to try and invest in larger. It's more expensive items. They don't have to actually be big, but just, it's more expensive. And to just always remember that it's about your average over the whole month, not just because 1 or 2 days was slow.
Right.
Though we do know that does feel a little bit scary.
Yeah, it feels very scary, especially with tax time looming.
Yeah.
But
always go to its numbers. That's what's going to, tell you the real story. So
something I sold this week, which was kind of ridiculous, but it was one of the oldest items in our store, and I could not sell this thing to save my life. And I kept lowering the price. It was this sparkly sweater vest.
It was cool, though.
It was cool. It was purple, sparkly sweater vest. It was awesome. Totally punk. So the other day, I pulled it out of storage, and we took a couple photos of it that were better, because I noticed that our older photos it had bad lighting, and it looked like it was out of focus, like I was moving when I took the picture. So we retook the photos like a week or so ago, and it sold. So
and we sold it for like $9.
No, it was less than that. It was $5.99.
Wow, yeah.
But it was really on principle. I was like, I just want to sell this thing, and I did. So I sold it.
We rarely ever take anything back after we actually list it, and we've talked about this. I mean, it's once you put the work into putting it up, we just don't want to not sell that thing.
Although the other day I was looking at these Chalkware figurines that we had. We had this like box of Chalkware figurines, and we both looked at them in storage and were like, those are so crappy. They're taking up so much room. Let's just bring them home, unlist them, and then throw them away.
Yeah,
we did that. That was rare, but we did do that.
Yeah, that was one of those things where we didn't know anything about Chalkware, and you see them. I think we got them in a box lot at an auction or something.
Yeah.
And we learned, like, yeah, they aren't very...
Some Chalkware is collectible, but man, most of it is junk.
Not the stuff that we had. I always like to do little updates. So we talked a couple weeks ago about starting to sell on Amazon, just kind of put our toes in. Ryan's been listing books, right?
Yeah, books.
Yeah, so we've obviously learned, like, and people in the comments have been very helpful, that the newer, like, fiction books are worth literally a penny. Yeah. I guess the bigger booksellers are making their money on the $3.99 handling fees.
I guess so.
But, you know, we do find cool older first edition, you know, small
vintage books.
Yeah, books that were made in small quantities. We find them at estate sales, and
we did sell one book on Amazon.
Yep.
We have not mentioned that, but I had an old French cookbook. It sold the second day we started listing on Amazon, so that was nice. But it sold for $12.99. I shipped it to them, and then I think we made $7.60 on it, something like that.
So I don't know. And I'm looking at a big pile of books right now that Ryan is working on, and we're going to do this experiment, and for experiment to be a true one, we have to really list quite a bit.
Yeah.
In our minds, we need to have a couple hundred books up so we can really see, could we really start to sell these on a regular basis?
I think the people who sell lots of books fast are people who do FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon, and we're not doing that because we didn't want to become like an Amazon pro seller. So it's kind of a toss-up. It's like your prices aren't as good as the FBA because people just throw it in with Prime with free shipping. And
yeah, so. I mean, and people have asked us this about, should you sell on multiple platforms? And I think what we've learned is just like, you kind of have to put all your eggs in a basket. I mean, it's like we just focus on eBay, and that's what we do. Granted, we are doing this experiment on Amazon because we want to see, because we don't really sell books very well on eBay, so I wonder if books would sell better on Amazon. But, like, we don't spend time listing on any of the other sites, Etsy, because really there's only so much time in the day. Yeah. You can only be good at a couple things, so we're just focused on eBay. If eBay ever becomes like a bad site, we'll go somewhere else. But
I mean, the upside to Amazon is, I sat here and I think I listed about 25 books in about an hour because most of them I scanned on Profit Bandit, and you can sell right through Profit Bandit.
Right.
So it's very quick, but you're competing with so many other people. So you're like, I wonder if I'll ever sell this.
Right. And it's like, who's going to want this, like, 1960s hymnal, a Methodist hymnal.
We do have a lot. You know what's funny though? Because we had like a box of religious books that we bought. It was a box lot, or it was like whatever, an estate sale. Those religious books, I mean, we looked up prices on Amazon, and some of them sell for hundreds of dollars.
Right, because it's very nice quality, and
and they're hard to get. I just don't know where you would get things like that. So we'll see if those sell. But
so the other thing was, if you've been selling on eBay for a while, this has probably happened to you, where you'll get a sale from what doesn't look like a person. It's like more bought by like a company.
Right, like a shipping company. So here's the thing. You've noticed someone has like a Russian name or a Japanese name, but it's shipping to somewhere in LA, Portland, Oregon, places in Miami that do it. And it'll say the person's name. You'll see like suite number 1457839, number D. And so that is a very clear indication that you sold to a shipping company. So this company basically, from what we understand, buys stuff for foreign buyers. We think that they just fly it over to Japan or fly it over to Russia.
Right. I talked to, it's one of these guys, and the way these started was, I guess, for a long time, a lot of eBay, people who sold on eBay didn't ship overseas. So these companies would be they would be the go-to between a buyer and seller. And, but now I guess that more people do ship overseas. They still seem like they're online buying for other people, and I think part of it just might be a language barrier as well.
Right. So these shipping companies, what they usually have is they'll have, like, for example, the Japanese companies, they have a whole website fully in Japanese, and you can go in and pick eBay listings, and I think that they'll purchase those things. Now, yesterday I sold a vintage Fire King measuring cup to someone it was a Japanese customer in Portland, Oregon, to this very specific warehouse address. And then this morning it was a different username and a different, person's name, but it was the same address in Portland, Oregon, and they bought over $300 worth of stuff from us.
That's very nice to wake up to.
Yes. So someone in Japan was like, I want 5 or 6 items from these people.
And really, it's our dream. It's like someone in another country buying Americana. It's
right.
All these little knickknacks and
yes,
very cool, well-built items that are very American.
Right.
That you find everywhere in America, but overseas, I bet it's just very cool and hard to find.
Yeah. It's like when you buy stuff that's Japanese, it's just so cool looking, and they have a ton of it.
So we just bring it up because we've been brainstorming, how do you reach out to these companies so we could sell more of our stuff directly to them, and we really don't have a good answer because and we've tried to send them notes after we sell them stuff and say we'll give them a discount and we combine shipping. But I guess it's just like we were talking about last week about getting people to come back and buy
return
from
customers. You. Yeah, how do you?
Everyone just sees eBay as one giant store. They don't really care if it comes from one person or not really.
Right.
But if someone has any ideas, put them in the comments of this podcast.
Yeah, I would love to get more customers from, I say emerging markets, but I mean emerging markets in the vintage and kind of mid-century and Americana. People in Asia, it seems, are getting more into vintage American goods, and I would love to just, get those customers because that's what we sell.
So some people have been sending in some questions through the blog. It's this week, and it just talking about money and things like that. So I think I've mentioned him before. There's a guy or a group of people online. It's Mr. Money, a mustache, and I will link to it on the blog. And really, it's like a community of people. And what they do is they talk about how to cut your expenses and pay at your debt, and save up enough and invest it so you can be independent. And really, some of these people, the idea is you stop working because you're making enough off of investments.
Right. They're talking about early retirement, and they're extreme. They're not like, we're going to retire when we're 50. They're like, we want to retire by the time we're 28.
Yeah. And, it's retirement doesn't mean you don't work ever again. Right. It just means you work when you want to work.
And you don't work for someone else.
Yeah, really. And some of it's kind of extreme, some of it, it's just interesting though. What I like about it is that we share the same ideas as far as cutting our costs. And the way it ties into what we do at eBay Scavengers is, we use the profits that we make off of selling on eBay to pay our debt.
Yeah.
That's or to try and invest in other parts of its business that can make us money and keep us independent. And ultimately, what all this is for is so we own our own time and we can work on the projects we want to work on. But I just wanted to, I'll put that link in the blog just so, people can check it out. I think that's important because, ultimately with this eBay business we're doing here, that's what we're doing. We're building a business.
Right.
It shouldn't feel like you're at work.
Yeah.
It shouldn't make you feel unhappy. it shouldn't make me feel like I'm wasting my hours. I it's want to feel like I'm building up an infrastructure and building a reputation.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like this week I've been sitting here listing, and it feels like a slog, but then there's those great days where you make a bunch of money and, you take a day off. Like today, we're going to take a day off and do a little relaxing, and it's awesome. You gotta really like work for it.
I mean, there was a day this past week, it was like on a Wednesday, and we started to work and it was kind of rainy outside, and we just looked at each other and we realized like we didn't want to do that.
And we went to go see a movie.
We went to the next town over and saw a cool film.
Got a cup of coffee, went to a movie. Yeah, that was fun.
Like it's really about not having a lot of stress,
I think also it's important to, because we are all like trying to work really hard, and actually we're going to interview Adam again next, and him and his wife have full-time jobs and they have a little baby and they are trying to do this, so it's a lot of work. It's important to take breaks. In my opinion, it's important to take breaks while you're listing, but it's also important to be like, let's go out, let's go do something fun, because what's the point of working if you can't just like spend some money on a movie?
Yeah, no, and it's also important to take it yourself seriously too. I mean, we take this business as a serious thing. It's not like a joke. It's not
a hobby.
Yeah, it's not a hobby. And, it doesn't matter if our friends or family understand or don't understand it. It's important to us. And again, that's just why I think it's important to always be thinking about what you're doing or what we're doing with the money that we make. So we aren't just wasting it and kind of grinding away.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we want to go to the questions that you guys have sent in. Okay, the first question is from an eBay newbie. This person asks, with so many options in shipping, what's the best way to learn the best options to ship? This is my main issue right now. I love this podcast. Great. Okay, I totally hear people. Like if someone's just starting out, and eBay even has those ads on TV where they're like, just pick up, it's your phone and take pictures and sell stuff,
mobile,
I agree. The hard part then is like the stuff they don't show you. And that is like, how do you ship this stuff?
Right.
I don't know if there's like a quick answer. It's just something like you have just to be willing to learn and to do. And once you start to do it, then it all starts to make sense.
Right. So my advice is, and Mikey's done this advice too, where first of all, use USPS. When you're starting out, forget FedEx, forget UPS. Just use the post office, especially because they will pick up at your house.
Right.
That is the easiest thing for you to do. You just schedule a pickup. It's no big deal. You can start with flat rate. So there's a flat rate padded envelope, there's a small flat rate box, there's a medium and a large.
And these are boxes that the post office will give you for free.
For free, yeah.
You can go on their website and order them, and they'll actually send them to you in like a package.
Yeah. I think you can even go on USPS's little store and get a variety pack of flat rate packages. So they'll just send you like a variety pack. So I say start with that. That's the easiest thing. But, as you get more advanced, you can, you're going to be weighing your items. That's what you should be doing while you're taking photographs and writing down the measurements and stuff. You need to weigh it. And for me, I just put that in the eBay listing. I'm like, this weighs 2 pounds. It's going to go priority mail. If I look at it and say it could fit in a flat rate envelope, I'll add that as a option.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it depends on where you're hoping to take this. I mean, if you're just trying to sell some things in its closet and then you're going to be done, you probably, what I would do is just take it to the post office and pay it whatever they tell me to pay and let it be done, because I'm not investing energy into doing this as a business.
Right.
But if you're starting this where you're wanting this to be part-time income, or you're trying to, actually make it your job, then if you really need to start to invest in stuff, if you need to get a scale,
Yeah.
which we link to on our resources page on the blog.
Yeah.
I mean, don't use like a weight scale that you weigh it yourself.
That won't work.
Because if you start to get off the post office, they'll either charge the person that it goes to, or they'll send it back to you.
And you'll have to repay for postage.
And then also, like Ryan was saying, once you start to sell more too, you need to, what we've done is we've invested in poly mailers.
Yes.
And these are these, plastic envelopes of different sizes that you can just shove stuff into.
Right. And the reason I love poly mailers versus boxes from USPS, although I do use boxes for USPS all the time, if something is exactly 2 pounds, like a jacket, it's exactly 2 pounds, great, throw it in a poly mailer because it only costs you for 2 pounds. If you throw it in a box, the box is going to add weight, so then you're up one weight class, and you'll start to learn that stuff fast. So I'm like, I paid for the poly mailer, it cost me 3 cents, whatever, but still, you're going to save like $4 or whatever, And
then the other thing is, if you're starting to sell things that need to be in a box, and they don't fit into those flat rate boxes that the post office will send you. Like what we've done is that we go to a Walmart every week or two. They're always unpacking new inventory, and you'll just see a shopping cart full of boxes. They're happy for you to take them because they don't want to have to take them to the back and break them all down. And then we just walk out with a bunch of boxes.
I mean, I always say at the register, usually we're buying something at Walmart, but we'll just say, we just got a bunch of empty boxes, and they'll just look at them and make sure you didn't like throw something extra in there. So, I mean, they're fine with people taking that stuff.
And then the other thing is investing in bubble wrap.
Right.
Because if you're trying to ship glass or things that are breakable, and again, we link to that on our site. You can buy big rolls of bubble wrap. It's relatively inexpensive. And,
you have to have, I cannot live without bubble wrap.
Yeah. I mean, all these things, you just learn very quickly, and very often, because I know it happened to us, we learn from making mistakes.
Yes, you will learn so quick when you charge someone 1 pound priority and it's actually 3 pounds.
Right. Or
to California from the East Coast.
Or something breaks. I mean, all those things. So,
And a great thing too, I could go on and on about shipping, as we all know, but USPS insurance is free on priority items up to the value of $100 if you use eBay labels. So that is very, very helpful. Always click that box for USPS insurance and just use that.
Right. But all these questions or all these things we talk about is why some people just say, I'm just going to focus on things that fit in a flat rate envelope, like only ties or belts or hats. And that's cool because it makes life very easy. It's just, I'm just not sure if you'll make a regular income selling a very specific item, but who knows? All right, the next question is from John Cal. He's asked questions before. He says he sees we use Pixelator. He's asking if we use it by Mac.
With a Mac, yeah.
On a Mac, and he says if we've heard of something called Snapheal, which is another program for pictures. It's kind of a weird question. It's more just, I just wanted to talk about it because what he's talking about is what you use to touch up your photos, which I think is important because if you touch up most of our photos,
and when you say that is a deceptive term.
Okay,
I don't touch up the photos, but what I do is what I say is edit them. I will crop them if the shadows are too dark, which sometimes cameras, they really make dark, colors too dark, more dark than you saw them in real life. So I'll up the shadows, and mostly what I'm doing is cropping. I do all of that in iPhoto because I'm on a Mac. I know nothing about PCs. I don't know what kind of software they have, so I'm not the right person for that. But on a Mac, I just import all my photos into iPhoto and I crop them and whatever. If I need to make a thumbnail for eBay where it's a split screen, I want to show the front of a jacket and the back of a jacket as the preview, I call it a thumbnail, image, I will use Pixelator, which is, I think it costs like $15 from the App Store. The Mac, you can get it on your laptop or whatever. And it's basically a basic version of Photoshop. Actually, the only thing I ever use Photoshop for is for doing lightening and cropping and, putting two images together. So that's what I use. I've never heard of this other Snap Heel program. Right. So
I mean, there's all kinds of other applications to deal with photos, and like Ryan said, on the PC, I'm sure there's plenty of apps too. But it is interesting to let its new people know is that we do fool around some, edit its photos, because as much as you're going to try and take the perfect photo, sometimes you do want to take away blank space, bring up the brightness,
or sometimes your camera's white balance is off, so if you're using like daylight, the light is way too blue, like something's going on outside where it's crazy, so you want to like put a little more yellow in it to make it look real. Yeah. So things like that.
But ultimately, though, you want to take the pictures right the first time. It's just good to know that there are ways to kind of improve them a little bit.
Right, exactly.
Okay, the next question is from Tom Sharp. He asks, are the subscription services offered by other successful eBay traders worth the money? For example, pay us for our course and we'll show you all the trick type deals. Yeah. There are plenty of these around. Do you have any experience with these types of things? I love this question because, every week I'll kind of just start to browse other eBay blogs and YouTube videos. And I don't know what it is about this whole get rich quick scheme that people have going on. It's like, God, you see this stuff and it's just like, buy my thing and, for $99 or subscribe $30 a month, or it's like $500 for a series of videos. And it's just, we've never done that, mainly because we're super ass cheap.
Well, yeah, we're very frugal, and I wasn't even gonna buy Profit Bandit for Amazon because I was like, no, it's $15.
Yeah, but, so we don't subscribe to any services, stamps.com or anything that costs us its money, just because most times you can do it yourself, and if you're willing to put in the time, you can learn about anything for free. That being said, Ryan and I have talked about this. If I was just starting out, didn't know anything about eBay, and I was serious about making a business, I could see if buying a series of tutorials for $100, and I was really willing to put the time into it, it would probably bring me up to speed relatively quickly.
Well, I kind of think about it with Amazon. Like, if we were really just let's just sell on Amazon, I feel like I would want to do some kind of course, because I'm just like, there's got to be things I don't know that are, very essential to know with this service, but
the way we approach it is, we're willing to give it 6 months, start to list on our own, and when we come across a problem, to Google it and find the answer, and you just learn by experience. Right. So really, I guess the reason why I laugh, though, is that I feel like a lot people would fall into a trap of well, if I just pay this $100, it's just going to solve all my problems. And I think the answer would be is that it always will take work. Even though it might give you some good info, they're really just kind of rehashing information that's either on this blog or on the eBay website. Right. They're just kind of giving it to you in very easy to digest a format. You still got to do all the work. You still got to do all that stuff. So I don't know. Ryan and I have talked about writing some ebooks or something, or making videos to kind of help people who are new, but it just takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it's experience. It's like you said, it's like you do it, you make a mistake, and you learn very quickly when you make a mistake. That's the best way to learn.
But as we've always said, it's mystery in any of this stuff. It's just putting in the time and putting in the work. Yep. Period. Okay, so this next question is from Yolanda. She sent in a very long kind of story about a problem she's been having on eBay. And what it's about, I'll just do a quick thing, is about scam artist buyers. Yep. She says she's having a problem with people who are buying from her, and then they complain about the item and say they're going to return the item for a full refund, but she's saying she thinks that what they really want is just a discount on the item. And so,
or a refund for the price of the item.
Right. And she says this is happening to her a lot. And I don't know. I'm just going to give you our experience. I mean, we've sold over 10,000 items on eBay. And maybe a couple of times we felt like someone had some bad intentions.
Right.
But we've never really, it hasn't been a problem for us. And what I will do is if someone complains about an item and I feel like they aren't being honest, I will say, send it back. You'll get a full refund, and I will eat a shipping cost. Because if it's an item that they really want and they're just trying to, scam me, then they aren't going to want to send the item back. So you have to pull a bluff on them.
Right, exactly. And the other thing too is if they say it's damaged, like, oh, this sweater has some crazy hole in it that you didn't see. You're like, great. I'll gladly give you a refund or a partial refund to get it repaired if you send me a photo.
Right.
Like, show me the damage that I missed.
And we had that happen to us. And this week we sold a pair of military boots that were brand new with tags to a guy. And he said that they were cracked on the sole. And we just asked him to send a picture, and he was right. And that does happen where, they might have been new with tags, but maybe they had been in someone's basement for a long time. And just the rubber had gone bad.
Right.
And so we gave him a refund, and we got good feedback.
Yeah, and right away he gave us great feedback. And, that's the problem with selling, well, it was new with tags, but they were, used, I guess, because they weren't, they might have been 10 years old. You want to make your customers happy in those situations. And it does help to kind of, like Jay said, sort of call their bluff. And if they're not bluffing, they're going to follow through with the information that you need.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we have to, and we're just talking personally us, we have to assume everyone has good intentions.
Right.
If I was approaching eBay, we're thinking everyone was trying to scam me, this would be a very painful and unhappy experience because I always think someone's trying to get over on me. But, I find most people just want a good item. If they have a problem, I'm happy to solve it.
Right.
And the other thing that Yolanda was talking about was, I guess she does free shipping, so she feels she gets burned a lot because when people want to send an item back, she's having to pay for the shipping twice. And so, I mean, that's why we're always like, don't do free shipping. It just doesn't make sense for us. And the last thing you can do too,
report a buyer.
Yeah. So if you go to the item that you sold on your eBay, my eBay page, on the far right, there's a drop down, it's menu, and it's the last choice. And if you feel like a buyer is, doing something wrong, you can actually tell eBay that. And we've talked to the people at eBay, and they say that information does go somewhere. And I guess if a buyer starts having too many sellers complain about them or document abuses, that they will do something about it.
Yeah, it kind of builds up a case against the buyer. So.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, it's Yolanda, but you
just got to be a little more tough. I would say be a little more tough with customers. I mean, just really be like, great. There's a problem, either show me a photo or return it. Not a problem.
Send it back. And then block that person.
Block them on your blocked list.
We will block anyone that causes us problems just because it's worth the time and effort. But again, if you're having problems with every single person that buys from you, honestly, you should take a look at your own process because, we aren't coming across as many bad buyers. All right, last person, Charles. He says, I was listening to some of your old podcasts and was listening to the one where we interviewed Adam from the It's Mysterious Caravan. It'd be great to interview him again and follow up and see how much he's learned and where he's at the eBay store.
And so that's exactly what we're going to do in the next podcast.
This is we really appreciate when people send in these kind of suggestions. It's been over 6 months. So I emailed Adam and he agreed to talk with us today. So that's going to be our next interview, and you'll hear how he went from having dozens of things in his store to where he now keeps up to 500 or more things in his store. And I don't think he's quite quit his job yet, but he's gotten farther along.
Yeah, him and his wife still have jobs, and they're really keeping up. So
yep. So we will hear that next in the podcast, and go to ebayscavengers.com to leave any comments or send us any questions. And thanks. All right, guys. Thanks. See ya.
Bye.